Am I the a-hole for refusing to open the door for my sister when she brought her kids to stay with me? This is an ongoing conflict. Yesterday at 11 a.m., I was alone at home. Dear husband went to work early and I was just starting my daily cleaning routine when the bell rang. I, female 30, peeked through the hole and saw my sister, female 36, and her 3 kids, 5, 3, and 2. I did not open the door and talk to her behind it, and I'll explain why in a minute. She said she had an argument with her chronically ill husband, male 34, and wanted to once again punish him by keeping the kids away from him, until he apologized to her for what he said, which was regular argument stuff. Explanation. She started doing this when he got sick. Every time she gets in an argument with my brother-in-law, she'd take the kids and refuses to bring them back till I apologize to her. He has a medical condition that prevents him from getting outside the house. She's been using that, and instead of taking the kids to our aunt's house this time, she brought them to me since aunt is out of town. She asked that I take the kids for 2 days, but I refused and pointed out how unacceptable and wrong for her to punish her husband who's already sick, and using the fact that he can't drive to go pick his kids up or at least see them against him, should keep them away for days. She started talking about how her husband doesn't care about her hurt feelings and how much she does for him. Also, how this method has proven to be effective since it got him to recognize his wrongdoings and apologize. But I replied that he probably was only apologizing just to see the kids. I said it wasn't fair for the kids either, but she said they agreed to stay with me and told me to open the door because they missed me so much. I refused and said I won't be responsible when brother-in-law finally decides to do something about this and get the cops involved. She yelled that she's their mother, so the cops won't do a damn thing about it, and assured me my brother-in-law would never do that knowing how much she's cared for him. But I stood my ground and said I won't be opening the door. Period. She yelled saying I was unsupportive and selfish to keep my nieces and nephew out and refused to open the door for them. I suggested she go work her issues out like a rational adult and stop pulling cruel stunts that affects her husband and the kids' emotional/mental health. She took offense to that and said I was clearly on my brother-in-law's side. She shamed me in front of the kids for 10+ minutes, then left. Hours later, my dad, who lives in another town, called, shaming and berating me for not opening the door for his grandchildren as well as insulting my sister and siding against her. I explained my reasons, but he said the kids are with my cousin and insisted I go pick them up. My husband said I should have opened the door for the kids and that he could see how dad would be upset with me for not taking the kids in till my sister's conflict with her husband is resolved. He wants me to go pick the kids up, but I keep refusing. But I feel like I'm unsupportive of my sister. More details about my brother-in-law. He has a chronic illness that's gotten worse lately and limited his ability to do most things. To my knowledge, he wears catheter, wears a cannula and a medical device so he can't drive or walk outside a house. My parents never liked him because he was already sick when my sister married him and said she was wasting her life with him, but she always says she loves him. But I'm not even sure judging by her recent actions. Now for the top comments. Not today home. Do not go and pick up the kids. Get in touch with CPS instead to explain the situation. CPS for the kids and Adult Protective Services for the husband. Both need to be called now. Not today hall for the OP. Not today hall. Your sister is weaponizing her kids against a guy who can't fight back. The guy's chronically ill and can't even leave the house to get them. She is abusive. There, I said it. She shouldn't worry about the cops getting involved. It's civil at this point. But boy, if husband gets a lawyer involved, will he have ammunition against her? Her husband, if he doesn't divorce her, will resent her. Probably already does. And her kids, when they're old enough to figure out what she's doing, will resent her. He can't physically take care of himself, let alone 3 kids. I don't think he can get custody. Not today home. There's something deeply wrong with your family's dynamic here. That your dad is encouraging this is bizarre. It sounds like you need to lay down some firm boundaries with them. Oh yeah, of course my dad is on her side. She's his favorite daughter. There, I said it bluntly. What can I possibly do with them? It's helpless. They have been putting more pressure on me and side-eyeing me for allegedly siding with my brother-in-law. The man has enough to deal with and doesn't need these pathetic games my sister keeps playing. Next story. Am I the a-hole for forcing him to hold up his end of the bargain? Long story short, 3 years ago my fiancé's mom was trying to leave a relationship and needed a place to stay. At that time, we lived in a very small, cramped 2-bedroom apartment, with the second bedroom converted into my office because I work from home and need a space for my employment equipment. 2 monitors, printer, fax, filing cabinets, etc. Despite me saying that I truly didn't want to give up my space, he begged and pleaded until I finally gave in. He said, and I quote, "When the day comes, I would do the same for you if your family ever needed it." I was honestly still far, far from happy, because realistically speaking, his mom didn't need a place to go at all. The house her and her boyfriend had was in fact hers, and she had owned it for years. So why she was the one who moved out is beyond me. It wasn't a toxic relationship. She just wasn't feeling it anymore. Fast forward 2 months of her staying. She has completely taken over my office space, and I have my equipment set up in the only other spot available, directly in front of my TV. She moves out and back in with her boyfriend. Never paid a dime and didn't even bother taking most of her things with her, which took me more than 3 days to clear out with my fiancé. Not impressed. Anyhow, we upgrade. We bought a 4-bedroom home last year with a plan of expanding our family. This was prior to finding out he is infertile. It sucks, but honestly, it is what it is. I'm not wildly upset about it. However, my mom just lost her home due to foreclosure. She was renting, and her landlord didn't pay his rent, so the house was foreclosed, and she was given a 3-day notice to quit. My mom has my siblings with her, 14-year-old twins. Very well behaved and clean kids. She needs a place to go, and we have 2 rooms available. I bring it up with my fiancé, and he immediately says he isn't comfortable with it, and that he doesn't want his home to feel like it isn't his by allowing other people to move in and take over. So I brought up his agreement years back, and stated that I allowed his mother to move in for literally no reason, whereas my mother legit needs a place. He is now saying that that was years ago, and the situation is 100% different because there was 2 teenagers running the house when his mom moved in. He says I'm an a-hole for trying to force this on him and make him do something he isn't comfortable with. Am I the a-hole? I have no words, Opie. I would rethink the fiancé's status. He's up to bat and proving he doesn't value your family the way he demands you to value his. How about offering him to stay with his mommy dearest if he can't fathom sharing a 4-bedroom home with your siblings for a short period of time? I mean, she should return the favor, right? Not today, home. You deserve better. Also, the intention was to eventually have a kid or more with you. Does he assume a child wouldn't grow into a teenager? Unfortunately, some parents like little kids and only want little kids. Once they stop being cute to them, they don't give them the same amount of attention and love that they did when they were toddlers. So, they have more. I knew a guy who just kept having children over and over with his wife, but he showed a lot of neglect and distaste towards his teenage son, who was often forced to babysit the younger kids. Mysteriously, though, he was always very active and loving with the toddlers. Wait. He wanted you to give up space that you used for work purposes / paycheck purposes for his mother who had literally no reason to leave her own home that she legitimately owns. Then he says that your mother with 2 teenagers who are presumably easier to handle than, say, toddlers, aren't allowed in any of the 2 extra bedrooms, assuming one is used for your workspace, even though there were circumstances beyond her control that made her homeless. I'm assuming your mother only lost her home, and I am also assuming she did not lose her job, that she isn't subsisting predominantly in any welfare programs like Section 8 housing or other such housing subsidies. And if this is the case, then it sounds like a very temporary arrangement. Your mother does otherwise have the means to afford her own place, but just needs time to save for it. Am I correct in assuming this? Otherwise, I don't know if there is possibly any extra info to ask for that would ever make me think the contrary. But you are not today home. You are correct. So my mother is a full-time RN, 12 years strong. She would pay rent and not expect to live for free, despite me never asking. Which is more than I can say for his mother who didn't lift a finger to help with bills or cleaning. My mom is also a clean freak, so I know our home would never be in shambles. Not today home, but why are you in this relationship? It sounds like he doesn't care about you or your family. Oddly enough, this is actually the first time something like this has ever arose. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for kicking my son's wife out? So my son got married super early, 18, and I supported him but also expressed my grievances. Anyways, his wife has always hated me for anything I do. I've tried to extend an olive branch, but she always rejects it. Him and his wife fell on quite hard times after my son lost his job, and my son has been fine living with me but his wife wasn't. She complains about anything and everything I do. She hates my cooking, but if my son heats her up a bowl, it's the best thing ever. If I clean the whole house plus the room they're staying in, he always misses a spot. Never a thank you or anything. Yesterday, I decided I didn't want to be treated like this anymore and told her that I don't know where this hostility was coming from. And if she doesn't at least try to get to know me, then she can leave. She proceeded to call me the B word, so I gave her 30 days to move out. My son said that was too harsh and to just deal with it, but I already have for a long time. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Edited to add, I found out why daughter-in-law has been treating me like this. My son told her that I resent her for taking my son. I don't know why I told her that, but it is what it is. Info, I am kicking my son out too. Not today home. Married adults acting like children. No one is entitled to your house. 30 days is generous. There is no reason why either of them cannot find work right now. Jumping in top comment to add, based on Opie's edit. It does not matter that son told her you resent her. You're not acting like it. You house them, you feed them, you clean for them. You are treating them with respect and love, so at the very least, she should be respectful and polite. She should be doing these tasks herself as a thank you for letting them live with you and supporting them. But why in the world would your son say something like that? They both sound too immature to be married. Not today home. You are giving them a place to stay, food to eat, and other living necessities. It is your house, and you have a right to kick them out if they aren't pulling their weight, especially if she's disrespectful towards you at every corner. It boggles my mind. My husband and I lived with my in-laws shortly after getting married as we were in the middle of finding a place of our own. We didn't pay rent, so instead we cooked, cleaned, went grocery shopping, did maintenance. Family or not, adults have to contribute to the household in one way or another. The disrespect is the final straw. No one should expect free housing, food, maid service, then disrespect a person providing all of that. I'm glad you stood up for yourself, Opie. Not today home. Nobody should have put up with this kind of disrespect and hostility in their own home. You welcomed this person into your home and shown them kindness in their time of need. I can't even begin to understand how she has the nerve to treat you and talk to you this way. Any normal person would be thankful and do their best to be respectful and helpful around the house. Info. How does your son feel about the way she talks to you? Has he actually heard the things she says to you / how does he react? He rarely hears, and if he does, then he pretends he didn't. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents their divorce was hard on me even if they were still friendly afterward? I'm 24 female, I'm expecting my first child, and the event brought up some issues between my parents and me. When I was 8, my parents divorced. They still got along okay, but didn't want to be together anymore and worked on co-parenting and making things easier for me and my brother who was 10. It was better than some of my friends had it, but still hard. I mourned the family life I had enjoyed before. Having one home where both parents live and where we were just a family, not two families with different kids in one, and a new person who is considered your parents by everyone but you, and where it's weird because everyone thinks them getting along made it, so there was no struggling. But then people just think you fall madly in love with a nice person your parent marries, and readily accept a new person in a position of a parent. They think it makes jumping between homes easier. It does somewhat. If we forgot something at mom's or dad's, the other would bring us to pick it up with no drama. But I used to long for the days where I had a home. When my brother was 17 and coming up on graduation, my parents told him all 4 parents were going to do the graduation dinner for the graduating kid and parents. And he told them no, because he only had 2 parents and only mom and dad could go. They said he had 4, that the steps were just as good parents, and he told them no. The relationship changed after that. It was only with me becoming a mom they expected me to side with them over what had happened, and for me to say everything was perfect with the divorce. I told them it wasn't. That the divorce was hard on me despite how well they got along. That I was so happy they were happy and had better lives now. But divorce is always going to be something to adjust to for a kid regardless of circumstances, and they can't keep forcing us to say otherwise. They called me childish, and we haven't spoken since. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You expressed a perfectly valid emotion, and did so in a non-judgmental way. It was not childish. The reaction was though. Not the a-hole. It was understandable. You can't adapt immediately. It takes time. You were right to tell them that. You were respectful and reasonable. My parents broke up when I was 19 and no longer lived at home. I was an adult and it still sucked so bad. Still shattered my world. I can't even fathom how awful it must be for a child. It's something you might possibly never get over, and I don't see why should you lie if someone asks you how you felt about it. Not today home. You and your brother are entitled to your feelings, and your parents are denying them. Are they expecting you to have your step-parents be called grandpa and grandma by your kid? They will be, because it will save so much drama to let it happen. You're the a-hole. What would you rather have happen between your parents? What is your ideal way of having them resolve this issue of divorce? Because from where I'm at, they seem to be really fair to you and your brother. Would you rather force two people to be unhappy while you grow up ignorant to their problems and their feelings? Or that they did what they did and end a marriage amicably? Your feelings are valid for sure, but that doesn't mean you aren't an a-hole. If you or your brother were mistreated in any way, I would understand how you feel about your step-parents. But you said they were the nicest, yet you alienated them, and they're still there trying to have some sort of relationship with you. Your brother's reaction, although valid because of how he feels, is still unfair to four people who really didn't do anything wrong to him or you. And this is all based off of the info you have provided. If they mistreated you, let us know. But if not, you guys are the a-hole. You can both be the a-hole and still have valid feelings. I don't know how other people on here can't see that. They never mistreated us, and I never said they should stay married. Acknowledging our feelings would be nice though. I have acknowledged theirs, and I agree that what they did was for the best. But that doesn't mean it wasn't hard. And not all relationships look the same. My step-parents are nice people, but they are not my parents. I do not love them or care about them the same as my parents. I always include them though, but never ever complain to them about having to. It would just be nice to not have them decide what my feelings are about all this.